Hello you lot, Miller Corner here and welcome back to this little yellow nugget and some real actual genuine drama and jeopardy, no Discovery Channel stuff here. This car is going to Germany for the Nürburgring in 2 weeks roughly as I record this, and I've got some slight issues. I've got a knock and a clunk from the front top. I've got a knock and a clunk from the front strut top, so they both need replacing, and the rear springs are so soft that the wheels are catching the arches. I'll explain that as we go. But this car needs some fixing and some sorting, and one awesome little mod I've been working on before we go to the ring to get it at its best. So without further ado, I'm going to get changed, and then we need to head to the workshop ASAP. We have not got long. By the way, went to the TT for the first time this year, got this awesome shirt. Do you fancy a video on that? I did record some stuff. Let me know. Anyway, workshop, let's go. So this is passenger side strut, and yeah, I'd say that top mount is pretty buggered and pretty knackered and pretty floppy, which would cause a clonk and would probably cause steering issues. Not to mention, looks hideous. So you are going in the bin.
The churn-ups are on Friday today at 15.
And here is our new rear anti-roll bar, which is actually from a Ford C-Max or Mark III Focus, would you believe it? This has actually been tested by a few people in the Cento community. You don't have to cut this, modify it, bend it, do anything like that. It's the right shape, it's the right size, it will actually fit, and these are not expensive. I bought this one for about 40-45 quid second hand, giving it a quick lick of paint just to smarten it up a bit, and it is ready to go on, and that's what I like. It's not an expensive aftermarket part, it's not a custom bespoke thing, it's just a good used part available from another car for cheap. That's what this channel's been all about from day one, and now we're going to try and make this into a rear anti-roll bar performance part for that little beast. So here's how we're going to go about mounting the rear anti-roll bar. We've got these universal poly bushes which are going to go over the rear axle beam, complete with exhaust clamps through these holes to hold it on. These open up so we can actually get it over the anti-roll bar. These are polyurethane bushes, so a bit stiffer, less rollness, and they come with grease as well so they don't squeak. Then we connect one end of the anti-roll bar to these rose joints. So these are threaded, so that gets threaded into this threaded bar. So we've actually got 4 of these rose joints, one for each end, and there's 2 of them for both ends of the anti-roll bar. One end goes in the roll bar itself, the other end is going to go in the bottom bolt for the shock absorber. So that's the plan for how we're going to mount it, but will it actually work? Let's find out. So we've got our anti-roll bar just loosely in there at the moment, complete with our poly bushes which have been greased. Make sure you grease them because otherwise they squeak like an arse, and exhaust clamps to hold those in, which are 67mm exhaust clamps holding those in, some nice nuts. Good amount of clearance going on here. So the next plan of action is we're going to undo the lower shock bolts and take the springs out, because at the moment I've got the TA Technics coilovers rear springs in. These are notoriously soft. They are lowering springs, they do bring the car low, but they're also far too soft. They give the car a slightly bouncy rear end, and that means that despite the not inconsiderable arch gap I've got, my wheels do still hit the arches. So I'm going to replace those with some Spax lowering springs. These are made by the same company that make my new rear shock absorbers. They are the same set height to go with those shocks, which means they work perfectly together, and these are progressive springs, which means they will lower the car but they'll maintain the ride, and they'll be more progressive in terms of the travel, so hopefully we won't be smashing into the arches, which is always nice. So next up, unbolt the rear shocks, take the TA Technics rear springs out, smash these bad boys in there. You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. So here is our fully custom rear anti-roll bar setup. We've got our Ford C-Max Mark III Focus anti-roll bar here with a few little paint marks on it. I'll touch those up in a second. And mounted with our universal poly bushes here, exhaust clamps doing that. I think we use 67mm clamps in the end because that's how the bore of the rear axle beam there. They're done up tight, they've been greased so they don't squeak. That is really solidly mounted. Then we've got our rose joints here, complete with our adjustable length rod. These nuts all done up rock hard tight, so there's no budge in there, but you have got adjustability in there to tighten it up for more or less anti-roll, essentially. Our new Spax rear lowering springs, which are going to be hopefully a lot better than the old cheesy TA Technics ones, and it's all bolted in place onto the bottom shock absorber bolt with brand new washers and nuts and bolts and everything. This is your standard bottom shock bolt, and by the time you've got washers and rose joints on it, that's not long enough. You haven't really got enough threads to be safe, so you're going to want something more like this, because if you don't use a longer bolt you can't fit it all on, then your suspension comes apart and then you really don't have a good time. So use a longer bolt. And that is replicated over here, goes round the lovely exhaust, which I've given a little buff, never let it be said I'm a tart, and that is done. Custom rear anti-roll bar on a Seicento. How to do it. So next we're going to get the car fully wheel aligned, and then I'm going to take it out on the road and see what a difference all this has made. Right, apologies for the naff camera angle and the terrible hair and the dirty face and so on, but this is just literally a very first drive to see what we're like around the industrial estate. Bump! Well, we didn't hit the arches, that's for sure. Oh, that feels heaps better. Whoa! Whoa! That's light on its feet, Jesus! Oh, it does feel that much nimbler now. The steering's so much better, that is sharper. Oh, yes! Oh, it does not roll. It does not roll. That feels brilliant. Oh, it's so light on its feet. That feels ace. That's amazing. I mean, I knew the alignment was out. I knew it needed the tracking doing. Now that's been done, it's easier immediately. It's not fighting you. It's firm, but it was always firm. But of course, now those springs are more progressive. If I want to soften it off to improve the ride, I can do that without the fear of smashing my arches to bits. And it's definitely got less roll. It's definitely sort of quicker and sharper and dartier. You're not wasting suspension energy doing that. Yeah, all that squeaking you can hear back there. I changed the screws in my rear seat delete panel, and some of them aren't quite long enough, so it does squeak and rattle a little bit, but we will look past that. Chuck it in. Oh, what body roll! That feels great, and the ride is no worse. You know what, if anything, it's marginally better. Oh, the steering! I can pick my line between cracks in the pavement. That is ace! So there you have it. New strut top mounts and an alignment have sorted the feel of the steering out and removed some of the clonks. Those new Spax rear lowering springs are heaps better than the old TA Technics ones, so I've got better ride quality there, and hopefully I've got more rear arches left. And the rear anti-roll bar has made a difference. This thing just darts around in the road in a way it never did. I'm calling that a big success, and in handling terms, I'd say this little weapon is Nürburgring ready. Still more prep to do for the road trip element, but this thing is going to eat the green hell, probably. Stay tuned for more improvements on this epic little nugget, and thanks very much for watching, everybody. Catch you soon, and have a good one.